Chapter 7, Section 5, we're going to be solving rational equations. So we're going to use what we learned in 7.4 to help us solve equations. So whenever we have a fraction is equal to a fraction, we can solve by cross multiplying. So looking at example 1, cross multiplying, we multiply the bottom of the left with the top of the right, and the bottom of the right with the top of the left. So on the left side, we have 3 times 4x plus 5. And then that's equal to, on the right, we have 9 times x plus 1. What do you think our next step should be to solve? Awesome. We've got to distribute into our parentheses on both sides. So 3 times 4x gives us 12x. 3 times 5 is 15. And then that's equal to 9 times x is 9x. 9 times 1 is 9. What should we do next? We can subtract 9 on both sides. So 15 minus 9 gives us 6. So 12x plus 6 is equal to 9x. What should we do next? Subtract 12x. So 6 is equal to negative 3x. And then what? Divide by negative 3 on both sides. So what do we get for x? X is equal to negative 2. So example 1, we want to start by cross multiplying. So we have 3 times x minus 7 is equal to 2 times 5x. What should we do next? Distribute the 3. And then multiply the right side together. So we have 3x minus 21. What's that equal to? 10x. We can subtract 3x on both sides. Negative 21 is equal to 7x. Divide by 7, x is equal to negative 3. All right, let's look at the next one. What should we do first? Cross multiply. So we have negative 4 times what? X minus 3. And then that's equal to 5 times what? X plus 3. What should we do next? Distribute. So we have negative 4x. What's negative 4 times negative 3? Positive 12. Oh no. What do you get on the right side? 5x plus 15. What should we do next? Subtract 12 on both sides. So we get negative 4x is equal to 5x plus 3. Subtract 5x on both sides. So negative 9x is equal to 3. Divide by negative 9 on both sides. Awesome. X is equal to negative 1 over 3. Perfect. All right, number 3. What should we do first? Cross multiply. So we get 1 times what? 11x plus 8. Is equal to, so you just multiplied it straight in there, so 2x squared plus 5x. What should we do? So just erase the 1. So we have 11x plus 8 is equal to 2x squared plus 5x. Subtract 11x and subtract 8. I like it, 2 steps in 1. So we have 0 on the left side is equal to 2x squared. What's 5x minus 11x? Negative 6x minus 8. We can divide everything by 2 because we don't like to have any coefficients in front of that x squared. So we have 0 is equal to x squared minus 3x minus 4. So negative 4 and positive 1, perfect. But we got rid of that negative 2. So when we factored in this step, we don't even have a coefficient anymore. So we don't have to divide by that coefficient. So we just set both of these equal to 0. Awesome. X is equal to 4 and x is equal to negative 1. What? Because we got rid of the 2 here. So if you can factor out that 2, then we're not multiplying the first and the last because we don't have that number in front of the x squared anymore. So we can only cross multiply if we have one fraction on one side and one fraction on the other. Sometimes we're going to have a problem that has 2 fractions on one side, so we either want to combine them into one fraction or just get rid of the denominator entirely. So to get rid of fractions, we can multiply everything in our equation by what's in the denominator. So if I multiplied everything by x, so times x, times x, times x, here the x's cancel. So then I'm left with the whole number 5. In my next fraction, I have 7x over 4, and then that's equal to the x's cancel, so negative 9. How can I get rid of that 4 in the fraction, in the denominator? Do the same exact thing. So multiply everything in my equation by 4. So I have 5 times 4, which is 20, plus the 4's cancel, so 7x. And then that's equal to negative 9 times 4, which is negative 36. Now I just solve for x. What should I do first? Subtract 20 on both sides. So these cancel, so 7x is equal to negative 56. Divide by 7, and what do I get for x? Negative 8. Anytime you have fractions in an equation, you can always do this to get rid of the fractions. It's so much easier than working with fractions the whole time. Let's look at b. So we want to multiply everything by whatever is in our denominator. So we're going to find the least common denominator and multiply that times everything. So our denominator here is 1, right? We don't have a denominator, so it's just 1. Our denominator here is x minus 5, and our denominator here is x. So we need to multiply everything by x and x minus 5. Everybody with me so far? Okay. So here, when I multiply 1 times x minus 5, I just have x times x minus 5. Then minus. If I have an x minus 5 on the bottom here, that cancels out with the x minus 5 on the top. So what do I have left? 8x. And then here, in the right side of the equation, I have an x on the bottom. That cancels out with the x on the top. So what do I have left? 3 times x minus 5. Now I want to distribute, so I can simplify. X times x is x squared. X times negative 5 is negative 5x. Minus 8x is equal to 3x minus 15. What should I do next? Combine like terms. So x squared minus 13x is equal to 3x minus 15. Again, I can combine like terms. I'm going to subtract the 3x on both sides. So x squared minus 16x is equal to negative 15. What can I do next? I can add the 15 to both sides. So I'm going to get all my terms on one side, so then I can factor. So do I have two factors of 15 that add to negative 16? Negative 15 and negative 1. Perfect. So x minus 15, x minus 1. How do I solve? Equal them both to 0. So x minus 15 is equal to 0. X minus 1 is equal to 0. So what's x equal to? 15 and 1. Perfect. So let's look at number 4. What do I have to multiply times every term in my equation to get my denominators to cancel? 5 and x. So I'm going to multiply everything times 5x. So in my first fraction, the x's cancel. And what am I left with? 15 times 5, which is 75. In the second fraction, what cancels out? The 5. So what am I left with? 4x. And then in the third fraction, what cancels? The x's. So I'm left with 35. What do I do next? Subtract 75 on both sides. So 4x is equal to negative 40. Divide by 4. So what's x equal to? Negative 10. For all of these, and for any time you solve for x, if you ever want to check your work, you can just plug it back into your x's in the equation and solve, and it'll make sense. So you can always check your work for these. What do we have to multiply by every term to get our denominators to cancel? X plus 1 and 2x. So we can say 2x times x plus 1. 2x times x plus 1 and 2x times x plus 1. So my first fraction, what cancels? X plus 1 and the x plus 1. So I have 3x times 2x. What does that give me? 6x squared. Then in my second fraction, what cancels? 2x and 2x. So I have negative 5 times x plus 1. See how I got that negative 5? Because it was a minus, so I just keep it with the 5. And then that's equal to, in my third fraction, what cancels? 2x and 2x, so 3 times x plus 1. I want to distribute, so I can simplify. So I have 6x squared minus 5x minus 5 is equal to 3x plus 3. Careful when distributing, because you have to distribute that negative 5 to both things. So that's minus 5x and minus 5. What should I do next? Subtract the 3x. So we have 6x squared minus 8x, and I'm going to subtract the 3, so minus 8. Do I have any numbers in common between 6, 8, and 8? I can divide out of 2, which you don't have to. You can just jump right into factoring, but it kind of makes it a little bit easier just to divide everything by 2. So we have 3x squared minus 4x minus 4 is equal to 0. What do I have to do when I start with a number that is not 1? Multiply the first and the last. So I get 12. Negative 12. What are two factors of negative 12 that add to negative 4? Negative 6 and positive 2. Alex, what do I have to do when I start with a number that's not 1? Divide by that number. So we're going to divide by 3. Simplify it as much as we can. So negative 6 divided by 3 is negative 2. What do we do with that number if it doesn't simplify? Move it to the front. So we have 3x plus 2. Greg, what do we do next? Equal them to 0. X minus 2 is equal to 0. 3x plus 2 is equal to 0. So x is equal to positive 2. And x is equal to negative 2 over 3. So you multiplied 6 times negative 8. What's 6 times negative 8? Okay. All right, let's take a look at number 6. Any other questions on 5? All right, number 6. So before we just multiply everything by our denominators, we want to factor. So can we factor anything here? Any denominator? Yep. What does x squared minus 1 factor into? X plus 1, x minus 1. So to save us work, we want to multiply everything by our least common denominator. So our least common denominator would be what? Just x plus 1 and x minus 1. Because this x minus 1, x plus 1 happens twice, we don't have to multiply everything by it twice. It would just make more work for us at the end, and we don't want to do that. So we're going to multiply everything by our least common denominator here. So in our first fraction, we're going to multiply everything by x plus 1 times x minus 1. What cancels? x plus 1 and x plus 1. So I have 4x plus 1 times x minus 1 in the next fraction. Both of them cancel. I'm multiplying it by x minus 1 times x plus 1. They both cancel. So what am I left with?
12.
Just 12. And then in my third fraction, there's no denominator, so nothing cancels, so I just have to multiply that 3 by x minus 1 times x plus 1. So let's solve. What should we do first? So we have to FOIL. So we multiply the first term, so 4x times x is first 4x squared. Then the outsides, so 4x times negative 1 is negative 4x. Then the insides, plus x. Then the last terms, minus 1. That's equal to 12. And then before we multiply this 3 in here, we need to FOIL again, because we have two binomials being multiplied by each other. We know when we FOIL this, we're going to end up with this, because we factored it. We broke it down into x plus 1, x minus 1. So multiplying it out will give us this same thing. So this is 3 times x squared minus 1. I could FOIL this out too and get the same thing. But I also know when I FOIL this out, I'm going to get this here, because I factored it in the beginning. So I broke it down, but now I'm multiplying it out, so I'm just going backwards. Does that make sense? All right, I also need to distribute this 3 in here. So I have 4x squared minus 4x plus x, which I can add those together. And what do I get when I combine the like terms here? Minus 3x minus 1 is equal to 12. I'm going to distribute this 3 out, so plus 3x squared minus 3. All right, what can I do next? Combine the like terms on the right. I can. So on the right I have 12 minus 3, which is 9, plus 3x squared. I can subtract the 3x squared and the 9. So I have 4x squared minus 3x squared. What is that? X squared minus 3x minus 10 is equal to 0. I have nothing left on this side. Everybody still with me? Sweet. All right. Do I have two factors of negative 10 that add to negative 3? Negative 5 and positive 2. So x minus 5, x plus 2. So x minus 5 is equal to 0. X plus 2 is equal to 0. X is equal to 5. X is equal to negative 2. These are our two answers. The difference between what we were doing before and example 4 is it says extraneous solutions. So here, one of our answers, whatever answers we get, we're going to have to plug them back in and check to make sure they're extraneous solutions. Extraneous solutions happen when we get 0 in the denominator. So let's say we got x is equal to 3 as our answer. If we plugged 3 back in, that gives us 0 in the denominator, so this answer is an extraneous solution and does not work. So it's always good to check your answers for extraneous solutions? You can never have 0 in the denominator. That would give you undefined. The last type of problem is example 5, which again, I'm going to save this for tomorrow, but I may not be here tomorrow, so I'll just put it in a video. So I just wanted to talk about it real quick so you guys can do all of the questions from the homework. It's just finding the inverse. So we've found the inverse before. We just change this to be y, and we flip our x and our y. So this is now x is equal to 2 over y plus 3. And we solve for y. We want it to be y equals. That's our goal. Y equals. So what do you think we have to do here to get it to be y equals? We need to get that y out of the denominator. Multiply, not x plus 3, y plus 3. So if this was a fraction, we can cross multiply. We could also just know that to get this out of our denominator, we can multiply it on both sides. So y plus 3 times y plus 3. So on the left side, we get x times y plus 3 is equal to, this cancels, so 2. How can we move that x to the other side? Divide by x. So y plus 3 is equal to 2 over x. What do we have to do next? Subtract 3. So y is equal to 2 over x minus 3. And then we just name this our inverse, so we put the little -1 exponent on y. So that's just calling it the inverse.